Learning a language is hard. Here's how to stay motivated. Ready? Let's go. Celebrate small wins. You do not have to learn everything at one time. Set small goals for yourself. For example, learning 5 new vocab words a day, or possibly learning how to use the present continuous correctly by the end of the month, and then celebrate when you achieve these goals. Try to overcome the fear of making mistakes. I know that this is easier said than done. If you feel fear in regards to learning English and speaking in public, you are not alone. Almost everyone who learns another language has fear associated with the process because we're all afraid of making mistakes, especially in public and in business settings. But just know that making mistakes is part of the learning process. You're not the only one who makes mistakes, and that by making mistakes, you can learn from those mistakes and improve your language over time. Set realistic language goals. You could set a goal to, for example, listen to a podcast every day going to work, or to watch one movie in English every weekend without subtitles preferably. Or maybe your goal is to increase your vocabulary or practice speaking. Keep a record of the goals you set and track your progress, and you will see that your English improves over time. One thing that is super important is to be consistent in your language learning. It is so much better to do a little each day instead of waiting for weeks or even months maybe without really doing anything and then suddenly trying to do a lot. That can be really overwhelming. If you have 5 minutes a day to practice vocabulary, take those 5 minutes, try to be consistent. If you're able to schedule maybe 3 coaching sessions a week, schedule those and be consistent with those. Whatever it is you're doing, consistency is the key. Much more important than doing large quantities of studying at one time. Visualize success in your language learning. What do I mean by visualize success? Just think about what it will be like when you are a fluent English speaker, or when you reach your goals. Whatever your goals are, it could be becoming fluent, it could be becoming more proficient than you are right now, but just think about how that will feel when you reach those goals. Turn setbacks into opportunities. Sometimes when you're learning a language, you feel amazing. You feel like you're making a lot of progress. At other times, you feel like you are kind of plateauing, or you're not really making progress. Sometimes even you might feel like you're going backwards a little bit. This is completely normal. Just keep in mind that it's part of the process and use it as an opportunity to maybe change something up. For example, if you're listening to a podcast every day and you feel yourself kind of plateauing and not really progressing as much as you'd like, change to maybe reading something in English for a month. It doesn't have to be a book. You can read a short article in English. It can be an Instagram post, anything, just to continue working on your skills. Confidence is super important. And yes, I know, easier said than done. Confidence is not something we can just go buy. If it was that easy, everyone would probably do it, right? Confidence is something that you build up over time. So how do we build confidence? Again, by achieving those small wins we talked about earlier. It's really important to track your progress and see your progress in learning English improve with time, and it definitely will. So I think that getting out there, if your goal is to speak to somebody in English every day, for example, get out there and do that. And every time you do that successfully, your confidence will improve a little bit. find your why. What do I mean by find your why? Well, everybody is learning English for a different reason. Some people are learning English because they want to study abroad in an English-speaking country. Others want to learn English because they might have a job interview coming up, or they want to improve their English so they can communicate in English in the position they already have. I think it's really important for you to identify your reason for learning English and work on doing things that will help improve that aspect of the language. So for example, if you're learning English for work, you might want to focus on phrasal verbs for the business setting, or idioms, or you might want to just practice speaking or maybe even work on your listening skills. It's also important to incorporate English into your everyday life. I've mentioned this a little bit, but I think it's really, really important, and I want to mention consistency again, because if you're not consistent, it can be really tough. But if you just do a little bit each day, you really will see yourself improve. I have seen this hundreds and hundreds of times with my students, and I do notice a big difference between the people who are consistent and the people who are not as consistent. It's not as much about the number of coaching sessions you're doing per week or the number of hours you spend studying. The number one thing is consistency. If you have 1 hour, do that 1 hour every day, every week, whatever it is, consistently, and try to incorporate English in any way you can. Speak to people, listen to podcasts, listen to music. I love that one because songs get stuck in your head. Anything you can do so it really becomes second nature to you. You know, learning a language, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, is not easy. It's a process. Have you ever taken a trip and had your luggage go to a different country or get stuck in traffic in a city you don't know and everything is different? Maybe the driving style is different, the food is different, everything's different. This is kind of what it's like to learn a language. Sometimes when you're starting out, you'll see a lot of progress because you have a lot to learn. So beginning language learners tend to learn quickly because they're absorbing so much information. As you progress in your learning journey, it's natural for that learning curve to slow down a bit because you've already learned so much. And also it's worth saying that sometimes we do regress a little bit. So if you find yourself in a situation where 1 month you just feel amazing, you feel like you have learned so much, but then the next month you feel like, wow, I think I forgot part of what I learned. Completely normal. This is just part of the process. It's like anything else. It's a lot of ups and downs, but I promise you that if you stick with learning English, this will be a really rewarding journey. I'm here to help you in any way I can. If this video was helpful for you, drop me a comment and let me know what you liked. I'd love to hear about your English learning journey and how it's going for you. Until then, I'm Jenny. Stay inspired.